What is going on, everyone, and welcome to r/IDOWorkHereLady, an amazing subreddit full of stories where someone thinks that someone doesn't work there, but in reality they actually do, and they throw it back in their face for instant karma. The first story today is no different. Let's get straight into it. She finds out that I am the director. I am a documentary film director, and I was invited to speak at an event in my hometown that coincided with the DVD release of the film I directed. They were selling the DVDs at the event, and it was the first time I saw them, so I got really excited. I walked up to the stand, smiled, and held one of the boxes and showed it to my girlfriend and my friend. The lady behind the stand was less than enthusiastic about this, so she told me to put it back unless I was going to buy it. Here I was thinking to tell her that I'm the director, but I really don't like doing that as it is so pretentious. I apologized to her and I told her that I will put it back in a sec. I just wanted to show this to my other friends. She got very angry and told me to put it back at once unless I was going to buy it. I put it back and apologized to her. Now, soon after, they called me to stage where I talked in front of 500 people. After the speech, I was talking to the organizers, and this lady came up to me and said that she was so sorry, and why didn't I tell her who I was? I could have told her right at the stand, but I guess I wanted to see how it would all play out. I hope she learned from this and she is nicer to people, but I doubt it. Not gonna lie, I think I actually disagree with OP on this one because, let's be honest, right guys, this woman was pretty much just doing her job. You'd picked up something and you were just waving it around. How does she know you weren't just gonna, run out of the store with it and you weren't just actually the director showing it to your friends? Really? I mean, it could have all been a lie. So I think she was just doing her job, to be honest, and she had every right to say what she did. Do you guys agree or disagree? Let me know. Gotta say though, on the other hand, it is pretty cool when you're like, actually, you know what? I directed this movie. I know you said it sounds a bit pretentious, but that's pretty sick to say to this woman, you know what? I actually made this, so let me touch it. But I work security. I worked in a haunted corn maze this year. Basically, we dress up and scare anyone who walks through. It was all COVID safe and approved. All workers have to wear a mask, obviously, and dress up as something scary. Now, I was dressed up as a little dead girl, but I got called a doll, not the point. It was one of our slow nights, Wednesday or Thursday, and it was like the last 30 minutes. Now, I was tired, hungry, sweaty, and dirty as heck as I crawled on the ground and I just wanted to get home. I heard someone walking towards my area and hid like I normally did. Now, mind you, no one is supposed to hide in the corn, pick up the corn, and especially not throw the corn. Only the workers are allowed to hide. We aren't even allowed to walk through the corn to get out. We have to follow the paths. So I hid in the corn and I heard corn being ripped from a stalk. You know the sound after hearing it constantly from kids and other workers taking the low-hanging ones off. I immediately stepped out, ready to be blunt with the person, and see a woman with 4 kids. The youngest was probably 5, and the oldest was probably 16, 17, something like that. I say, you can't touch the corn. Whatever you have, put it down and continue on the path. But then a crazy entitled parent interrupts me. Don't tell my child what to do, little girl. Her older kid replied, sorry, we didn't know, and then proceeded to remove the corn from her sibling, little kid's, hands. But then her mum said, oh, don't listen to her. She's just a stupid kid. I'm taking this home to cook. So she then proceeds to stuff corn into her purse and starts walking over, dragging one of the kids with her. Mom, first off, you can't take corn from the maze. And second off, it's not gonna take... If you don't get out of my face, I will call the cops on you for harassing me and my children. Listen, lady, I've tried being nice. Remove the corn from your purse or I'll have security escort you out. She then pushes me. I'm in a dress in the cold, so that fall hurts, and she walks away almighty-like. Her big kid actually helped me up and apologized profusely for his mum before walking over and trying to get the corn from her purse. I had enough when I saw her smack his head and scream at him. I immediately cut through the corn. I didn't care at the moment and headed to my co-worker's area. That day, I didn't bring my whistle given to us in case of emergencies, so I asked my co-worker to follow her out of the corn maze. We are supposed to follow suspicious people like kids constantly going into the corn, people we think are drunk, or kids we noticed acting a little strange, like they were carrying something they shouldn't be, or they were gonna F in the corn maze. Look, it's a weird area I live in. So, James, my co-worker, follows them out of the corn maze, I think, so I was fine with it. The woman had her warning given, and then she would be off on her merry way. But Nope. The siren rang for us to get out and pack up our stuff. So I followed one of the paths I knew out and was instantly bombarded. I got pulled aside by security as the entitled mum was screaming and crying about how a child was harassing her and her angels, and she had a creepy paedophilic man follow her out, and she's never felt so unsafe in her life, and she wanted me arrested for causing trauma to her kids. The last bit my friend actually heard her crying about while I was being spoken to. So, security asked me what happened. They knew me as the weird worker who would scream Disney lyrics as she walked in to get ready, or show up randomly in a onesie and asked who escorted her out and blah blah. Well, I asked her kids to not touch the corn, she didn't listen, and even started packing corn into her purse to eat later. Security gave a gross look. This corn is not meant for human consumption. Her big kid said, "Please don't listen to my mum. She's just being hysterical again. Nothing like that happened except the creepy guy parts. I don't know if he's a worker or not, but my sibling did rip corn from a cornstalk and she was just doing her job." The little kid said, "Well, mummy told me to, so I could have some since it's free." At this moment, their mum is away from us currently, crying into the owner's sweater. James, my co-worker, finally walks out of the corn maze, probably helping the other guards take out trash, and tilts his head confused. James was wearing a clown mask and was a chainsaw guy who ran after people with a chainsaw that had no chain. That's the dude. "Oh no, I asked him to follow you out. I didn't feel safe following you guys out because of your mother, and I wanted to make sure you didn't do anything like that again." James walks over and looks at me confused. Now, he usually works with me, so I could tell his facial features by the slight movements of his body. "Oh my god, he's the one who stalked me and my children. He's probably some pervert who walks around here kidnapping little kids like the disgusting 30-year-old man he is." Now, this woman had annoyed me to the point I wanted to hit her, but I started dying laughing, like to the point I couldn't breathe. Why, you ask? Well, James was a 16-year-old kid whose mum was a friend of the owners and several older workers. This entitled woman was losing her mind, confused as to why I was laughing and why the sheriffs weren't arresting me and taking me to prison. Security said, "What, James? He's a worker here, and he's 16. Now she's going bat snap about how they hire human traffickers here and that we were all in on it and they were lying until James removed his mask to show how young he looked. I'd gotten to the point where I was using my dress to wipe off my makeup because I was feeling gross. The woman was basically standing around staring at all of us, confused as to why nobody was listening to her, and I grinned. Well, as I stated earlier, Mom, please remove all corn in your possession or I will have security escort you out. Or maybe your cup of tea is a sheriff. This entitled mum is now banned from the corn maze premise for as long as I work there, and I intend on working there for a long time. Sorry for the very long post, but whew, was it a doozy. Imagine that point where James takes off his mask and reveals himself not to be a 30-year-old paedophile, but actually an innocent 16-year-old just doing a bit of work in a corn maze. I mean, the look on this entitled mum's face right there must have been incredible. But yeah, just don't assume that someone is a creepy pedo just because they're wearing a clown mask, unless you're obviously outside of a corn maze that's meant to scare you. I mean, if you're in public, just normally going about your day, for example, maybe you're in the shops, right? And some random guy comes up to you in a clown mask with a chainsaw that has no chain. Yeah, there you can probably run away and call the cops. But if you're in, a corn maze like this where the whole point is to scare you, then it's probably safe to assume that guy works there. If not, it would be a very clever, thing for someone to do to, act as if they were part of the corn maze, but really they were a pedo. That would be exceptional. So if someone did that, I'd have to applaud them. Now moving on to our final story. I know I installed it. IT guy here, worked in the field for almost 25 years, and now I'm considered a global expert in my speciality. I'm one of the people who made sure that anything on the internet was permanent and had a hand in building a major cloud service. In the early 2000s, I was already considered an expert and was asked by my employer to present about a product at a bank who had just purchased it. I was part of a team with two other guys. Each of us was going to give a technical presentation to the IT department. The first guy had been talking for about 5 minutes when someone entered the room and things started going downhill. He was heckling us. Well, when I was at insert major retailer, we had problems with that and blah blah blah. The guy had the most annoying, nasal, snide voice, just dripping with, "I'm gonna blather on about how smart I am by putting you down." God, I wanted to punch him, but even worse, I had to do my presentation in front of him. Maybe he'd stop after the first guy was finished. Oh no, he didn't. The next guy got up, talking about a different but related product and its technical features, and he laid into him. Well, insert major retailer, had so much trouble with ISCSI that we had to blah 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 again. Oh, wonderful. What I didn't notice was how the other people in the room were reacting to him. He was getting the side-eye, eat poop and die mother effer looks, and blatant glares from all the IT guys there. In retrospect, why the manager there didn't shut him up is still a mystery. So, when my turn came, I decided just to plow through things and endure him. I started talking about my products, and sure enough, he just had to say something. Well, at insert major retailer, we had one of these, and it gave us a lot of trouble with authenticating into Windows domain servers. This was before Active Directory came out, not relevant to the story, but it gives the tech folks of an idea when this happened. I stood there and listened to him, just nodding along. I can feel this one, no sweats. I know, I installed it. Dead silence. The OS was about 3.2 or 3.3, I think. I went on, not realizing what had happened. Now we're on version 6, and if I remember right, it was a Windows authentication issue and worked perfectly after a patch. 2 seconds later, it hit me. Oh snap, I just shut down the client. But I continued on with my presentation, and he actually left shortly afterwards, before I finished. All the IT guys came up and apologized once I'd finished, telling me he'd just come over from insert major retailer and couldn't stop talking about how they did things and why it was better. One guy said he was a butt and they just couldn't stand him. Outside the bank, everyone was laughing and congratulating me for shutting him down, saying he'd stepped in it and stepped in it good. We were almost at lunch when we met the sales guy, who had been on the phone, and the first thing he asked was, "Who's Joe?" Not my name, but you know, who's OP? Me, I replied. Not certain how this was going to go, but he shook my hand. That was freaking brilliant. I was so mad at that jerk, and when you shut him down, I jumped up and started punching at the phone, yelling, "Yes, yes, yes, take that, you butthole." Now, I've told that story over and over since. It never gets old, and it's never happened again. I honestly don't want it to. I'm a professional that takes great pride in my work, and he was the total opposite of one. It speaks volumes of their hiring practices that let someone like that get through, though. Yeah, OP, that's a very good point. I mean, if everyone hates him in the office, you know, you raise a very good question. How did this guy even get the job in the first place? It does seem like everyone just despises the guy, right? He's clearly very annoying, keeps talking about his old business. By the way, mate, nobody cares. So why is he there in the first place? Surely one round of interviews and you're like, yeah, this guy's rude, annoying, and I don't want to work with him. So surely you don't employ him? But anyway, at least these guys realized how annoying this guy is pretty quickly and congratulated you on actually shutting him up for once. That's amazing. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of r/IDOWorkHereLady. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did and you want to see more from this subreddit right away, well, I've made loads of videos on it. So come and check it out for some more stories in this wonderful playlist that I've personally curated. If you're new to the channel as well, hit the subscribe button as well. And if you want to buy some cool merch, then you can pick it up right here. With that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow for a brand new upload.